Houston Texans national brand expansion continues. Texans trying to get somewhere where they've never been before. We have a small sample size of this era of Texans football, and there have been better teams on the field. But as far as national popularity, I don't think that they've ever been there. I know J.J. Watt was one of the biggest stars in the world, but there was never like this much love, especially like the diverse layers slash industries slash areas. There's never been this much love when it comes to the Texans. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. We're 2 weeks away exactly from the start of training camp, and the Texans national brand expansion continues. DJ Bieneme, friend of the stream, covers the Texans for ESPN. He wrote an article about Snoop Dogg and CJ Stroud playing in Snoop Dogg's Pee Wee League. We'll get to that in a sec. I actually got the link to the column in the description if you want to check it out. But I just want to go through the offseason and just how much the national brand of the Houston Texans has expanded in many areas. And I'm gonna start by listing 4 fans, national fans, some with local ties, just to kind of show how popular this team is in a very short time. Let's start with fan number 1, Sketch. Digital streaming is crazy. He's one of the biggest rising stars. He's a Texans fan. He wears a CJ Stroud jersey all the time. And in fact, he was the one who announced the CJ Stroud draft pick. If you don't remember, and how could you actually forget, this is what it looked like when Sketch went up to the stage and announced the selection of CJ Stroud's college teammate, Cade Stover.
Yeah. Let's go! What's up, brothers? How we doing? Make some noise! Come on! This is football! Come on! The Philadelphia Eagles have traded the 123rd pick to the Houston Texans. With the 123rd pick of the NFL draft, the Houston Texans select Cade Stover, tight end, Ohio State.
Obviously some boos. They're in Detroit, so that is kind of expected to happen. But you can see the digital stream impact, and that's a big deal. I mean, the Texans have kind of tried to dip into that. I'm sure we might see Sketch on some skits. He's just one of the few, the younger crowd, the streamers that are expanding the Texans national brand. Then we have country music. Everybody loves some country music. Local guy who's actually been on this show in the Locker Room, Parker McCollum. He's making the rounds. He was on Pat McAfee. Parker McCollum, man, he went with the well-spoken term, but, you know, he means well. Here is Parker McCollum talking about CJ Stroud.
Himself very well, though.
Yes.
Very, very well. Very well-spoken young man. Seems to, like, I mean, and he came to Houston, and after, like, the second or third game, he's like, man, when I watch the Lakers and they lose, I'll never forget this. He said when he's a Lakers fan. So when I watch the Lakers and they lose, I'm pissed. I'm upset. He's a professional athlete saying that. And so, like, fans feel that. They're like, man, he wants to win. Like, he knows how we're feeling, especially in Houston. We've been down for a long time. Like, when your quarterback is possibly the greatest rookie of all time and is talking that much comment, like, that's great, dude. That's good for the culture.
Yeah, it is great for the culture.
Yeah. And I think that's absolutely a good thing. I thought that was one of his many best quotes. Was that Laker term. But you have Parker McCollum, diehard Texans fan, been going through the pain. I actually enjoyed following him during the rough times because you could just kind of feel his frustration. So you have the digital game, you have the country music, the hip hop. Now, CJ Stroud and Tank Dell, they were on $1 million worth of game. It doesn't get any bigger than that. But once upon a time, CJ Stroud, like many NFL players, he was in Snoop Dogg's Pee Wee League. And this is where you can read the article from DJ Bieneme. Fan number 3, we're going hip hop from digital to country to hip hop. How about a little Snoop Dogg? This was when it was first revealed that, at least to the nation, that CJ was in the Snoop Dogg Pee Wee League. This was him with Ryan Clark on Inside the NFL.
We want to talk about one of those players, CJ Stroud. We're going to show you some video of him playing for you and talk about what he is now that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL as a rookie. What was CJ like when he was playing for you?
Man, CJ has always been a stand-up kind of kid. He's always been a leader. He's always been underrated. I'll say that. I love the fact that he's always been the underdog that turned into the wonder dog. You know what I'm saying? Because he puts in that work ethic. He's a strong believer in God. He's got great parents. And he's just a great listener. Anytime you got a kid who wants to listen and wants to learn, you could definitely get the best out of him. So CJ is one of the kids that come out of the league that we're so proud of. But there's numerous amounts of them. Keyshawn Nixon, Dobbs, Lenore, Ross. I can go on and on. It's a bunch of kids that came out of my league that y'all be calling their names out and don't even know that they came from my league.
Here's some more with Snoop Dogg. This was him on Rich Eisen being asked about it as we continue to touch on the Texans, the national brand expansion. It is the Locker Room. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. It is July. I hope everyone's going to be safe tomorrow or reckless, however you want to handle your July 4th. Safely reckless, we'll call it. But here is Snoop Dogg. Some more. He was with Rich Eisen talking about CJ Stroud.
Do you reach out to Stroud every now and then? Do you speak to
Yeah.
him?
I seen CJ when I was in Houston. I had a show when he came to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like in the preseason when they had lost a couple of preseason games. But I could just tell that he was so, laser focused on what he was doing. And he's such a spiritual kid. He's so positive. That's what I like about him, is that he's pushing a different narrative than a lot of these other guys in the league. He's pushing a real narrative of spirit, love, and just being a voice of positivity.
Well, in terms of his personal life as well, I mean, a lot of folks might not know the story about him and his dad. And was that something going on when he was part of the Snoop Youth Football League?
Yes, sir. My guy, Coach Superfly, stepped in and became like his coach, role model, to assist with his mom and assist with his family. So, in my league, it takes a village to raise one kid. And the beautiful thing is we have so many great coaches and mentors and people who value these kids' time and put time into them. So when we see these guys successful, it's a group effort. It's a lot of people that put in that time and effort. And we just proud to be connected to these kids.
There you go. So you have the hip hop OG connection. You have the current hip hop podcast. So they're both OGs as well. $1 million worth of game. You have the country in Parker McCollum. You have the streaming in Sketch. But what about the most popular national media type right now? And that's Pat McAfee. I mean, there's no doubt Pat McAfee, he has become perhaps the biggest fan of CJ Stroud. And he's always been that. One of the faces of Colts fandom, one of the faces of the Colts, Pat McAfee, once upon a time. And if you ever see CJ on McAfee, it is an absolute love fest. It's insane. Here was Pat McAfee. This was a throwback. This is a way back Wednesday / throwback Thursday, a day early. This was McAfee talking about when he wanted the Colts to actually trade up for CJ Stroud. And listen to this wit by AJ Hawk, fellow Buckeye, when they were having the discussion.
At one.
Hey, what CJ Stroud going to be a good NFL quarterback? You think you had your eyes on him a long time. On the record, you think Colts should trade up and get CJ Stroud?
I don't know what on the record means. I mean, obviously this is streamed live and it's put out there, so it's on the record no matter whether you say it or not. Yeah, I think CJ Stroud can slang it, man. Absolutely.
All right, let's go off the record. Let's go off the record. Off the record.
Under the table. So we're not on there, right?
Cut the stream
down.
Yeah. No, just off the record on the stream. Can't be held against us.
Off the record, on the record. That dude can slang it.
Will he be an NFL guy, though? I hope.
I don't know.
I think he looks like it.
I think so. I mean, what we
Sure
saw
looks like
in
it.
that freaking semifinal game was like, yep, give me that guy tomorrow. Fuck it.
Yeah. Colts are in a position to really turn it around. Got a lot of Pro Bowlers, a lot of good players.
Or they just keep tanking.
Look
Get
at Jags. Jags, Bengals. Look who they were 3-4 years ago.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That time.
Is there a Burrow? Did anyone throw 60 touchdowns this year and win the Heisman?
Funny thing about that is Stetson Bennett is.
All right. There you go. Now they're getting in the sticks being crazy. But McAfee wanted him. And AJ Hawk said he would be good. So you have the national media type, the hip-hop influence, the country influence, and then you have the streaming influence when it comes to the actual players. This is perhaps the strangest development, though. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans digital content. This is the weirdest thing, though, and I find this one the most amusing. Is once upon a time before Nick Caserio got here, and I never entertained this, and most of you listen and follow along, not just through the history of the stream, the less than 2-year history of the stream, but with the whole hiring of Nick Caserio and everything. There was always like a fear that the Patriot way was being brought to Houston, and Bill O'Brien is the reason for a lot of that fear and pessimism and skepticism, but I never really bought into it. And there weren't really too many things outside of the POS, Jack Easterby still being here, that really like made you think he was doing anything that was Patriot South like. And I fought this battle for a long, long time, but I think we can officially say now the Patriot way is dead. It is so damn dead. It's been dead for a long time, but I think even like the people who tried to push that narrative can finally acknowledge that the Patriot way is so damn dead, to the point where now we have Nick Caserio calling into radio shows, the Jim Rome show, and talking this language. I know that because the Oilers left Houston, sports radio kind of took a hit, and Jim Rome was a big deal in Houston, and I think he was a big deal in other places where they lost NFL teams like LA and whatnot. Nick Caserio is one of those guys, and maybe this is the Cleveland Browns, because they left as well, and maybe you were getting a little more Jim Rome, but Nick Caserio is like he's like a Comic-Con type fan of the Jim Rome show. This is your general manager who once upon a time was accused of being, private, not wanting to be in the limelight, all that. This is him calling into his hero Jim Rome show.
This guy is the most accomplished human being who's a clone in the history of the program. You know who I'm talking about. Nick in Houston. Nick, what's going on, brother?
Flat smack. What's happening?
Nick Caserio is back. What's up with you, dude?
Nice to see the clone see your personal reinvention project live on the air with the soccer talk in the opening segment. But appreciate you taking the call. Actually, Silk and I have something in common since we have the summers off. So I guess Silk and I have a deeper relationship than people realize. But in all seriousness, before heading into the basement here, before training camp started, I know the clone's concerned about me doing my job. So I'll try to do my job here next week when we head back to get ready for training camp. But in all seriousness, just want to congratulate you and the crew in the last month or so in X Plus. Just the studio, the various crews you have, the new additions. It's been a lot of fun to watch and listen. Specifically, some of the interviews over the last few weeks have been tremendous. Coach Doran, Coach Drinkowitz, fellow Smack-Off invitee.
Boring interview.
And really the last couple of days, Cashman, great player, great person. We had the privilege of having Blake on our team here last
had him
season.
on.
Going to do great things for the Vikings. And, just D-Mac. I mean, can't say enough great things about D-Mac. I know you've talked to him before, but the way he is on the air with you, he was the same way as a player. One of the best leaders, one of the best people that, the Patriots ever had in their program. So, again, just want to congratulate you for the work that you've done. I'd be remiss if I didn't say congratulations to the Panthers. Maybe you can get, Victory Rat on a Zoom call for an interview here, but, have a great fourth with the Cats. Instead of going to the lake, enjoy the Cats, and then War Burberry coming for Relief Factor as the next Jungle sponsor. I appreciate you, JR. Take care. I'm out.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy. I like me some Caserio. I like listening to him with Seth and Sean, but man, the Patriot way people taking a big gold dust style kick to the junk. So that's the national stuff, the national brand expansion. Also the local stuff. I have received word that CJ Stroud and Will Anderson, a little busy this week. They recorded the HEB commercials, and I don't even think that either one of them really know how big of a deal that is around here. It doesn't get much better than that. We actually reviewed all the HEB commercials a couple of days ago. If you want to check that out on the live, while you're at it, check out the Gary Kubiak, check out the other stuff. 2 weeks away from camp, credentials coming through. I'll be on the scene, and I'll be on the scene even more than that. And we'll all be in this together. Plenty of content coming up. Have a good July 4th. Appreciate you for coming through. Thanks for stopping by the locker room as the Texans national brand continues to expand. Have a good one.
Yeah. Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the